Hi, this is Klaus Lynge from Odeon. In this video, I will show you how you can make use of the audio effects tools to create multiple instruments from just one single recording. And you might use that if you want to simulate a violin group and you only have available one recording of a single instrument in that group. So what you might have done in Odeon 14 if you wanted to simulate a violin group like this one over here would be either to simulate a single signal and then compensate the level of that signal, and that would sound like a single violin, of course. So let's hear what that sounds like. You should use headphones when you listen to these simulations because it's binaural simulation, so it is best listened to through headphones where you preserve the three-dimensional information. And as you can hear, this indeed sounds like one source. Another thing you could do was apply 15 sources with the same signal, but the problem here is that if you just have one signal, these sources are going to be coherent, and that doesn't at all sound like a violin group. And I think you can appreciate that the difference between what you just heard with one source and one signal is not so different when you hear 15 sources playing the same one signal. So playing from this position here or playing from all 15 positions with the same signal doesn't really change so much. What you really want to do is you want to have 15 different musicians playing from different source positions. And this is possible with these audio effects tools where we have used a chorus effect suited for string instruments and a spectrumizer, which is changing the spectrum of the signal somewhat. So you can say the chorus effect kind of corresponds to having different musicians, and the spectrumizer kind of corresponds to having these musicians playing on different instruments. I think you can hear that now we have some source width, so it doesn't sound so point-like anymore. So now I've entered the Odeon software and I want to show you how you can create additional violins from just one input signal. So first we go to the tools. In the audio effects tools, and I select my violin sample. I've made a short snippet, so this is fast to do. So this is my input signal, and I want to create additional 14 signals here so I can make a simulation with 15 violins in total. Now I should also apply some effects now, and I can do that when I have opened the signal. So clicking here, I get the chance to select effects. I want to make use of two effects for now. So there's the chorus effect, which I noted here, and there is the spectrumizer. So let's just have a look at what that is. So the chorus makes some changes in pitch and timing of the output sample, and the spectrumizer makes some changes in the spectrum of the recording. So this chorus kind of corresponds to having different musicians, and the spectrumizer kind of corresponds to having these musicians playing on different instruments. There's some default parameters set by Odeon. You might change them if you want more or less variation of these effects. The thing is, when you have a number of output files different from one, then the output will be varied with some random variations set by the parameters here, so you can decide how much of it you want. But none of the output files will be the same, and that's how you get a population of different musicians and instruments playing the same sample. So let's press the save button, and then Odeon will create these output files. So you can see now we are processing output file number 1 and 2 and so forth. So I have entered a room. Now I will show you how you can apply the 15 instruments playing the same violin piece, which we created with the Audio Effects tool, and then simulate a violin group. So let's go to the source list. Here I've defined already one source, actually given it a special name, the name of the original violin piece, and I'll get back to why later on you might make use of that. So we want to have 15 source positions to simulate our violinists. I selected the source up here, and we can make use of this tabulate source receiver tool. And then I decide that I want 5 rows and 3 columns of sources. I will make 2 meters between them, just a random number in this case, more or less. And then I will rotate these positions so we get them in an appropriate position. I will also offset them slightly. So here we have our 15 source positions. If you look closer, you might actually see that some of those are sticking out of the room, which is of course not what we want. So we can make use of this option down here where we have what we call a drop height. So imagine you drop the sources from somewhere higher up, then Odeon will figure out to give these new sources the same relative height above the floor surfaces as the original. So that's what we just see and did, and you can see that now they're nicely aligned. And just save them when we close the window. And you can see that we have additional sources and they have a hash 1, 2, 3, 4 and so forth attached to them. So let's go into the job list and set up all our simulations for these positions. We'll not define manually any impulse response simulations or any convolutions. Instead, we'll go directly to the mix and select this multi-source signal equalization expert. I will show you a couple of the methods now so you get comfortable with that. Because I gave these sources a special name corresponding to the signal we're using, I can use this pair sources with signal files. I can also go here instead and select each signal manually. Or as we normally might do, select the signals we want to assign. And then go here and say select multiple signal files. So you can multi-select files here, like this, shift down, or you can hold down Control and then click each individual you want to assign. So we have selected 15 files, and then we say select signal files. And then closing it, they have been assigned to each of these positions. So sources, in this case, corresponding exactly to the signal file, which is why we could have used the other tool. And then Odeon has actually created not only convolutions, but also here back in this page, all the impulse responses. Where are you looking? Which position are you sitting in? And then convolving the impulse response with the signal and then mixing it together into one final file. I'll just show that you could do it the other way around. So we make another mix, and this will be completely identical, really. So instead of selecting the select multiple signal files, I'll select pair. And then you just select a folder, assuming that you will have file names corresponding to the source names. That was pretty easy, so it picked the right files from the folder. If not all the sources have matching signals, then it will only assign to those where it actually matches up. So you can also assign a few of the sources and leave the rest for manual treatment. So let's close this one, and we created something that is completely identical in the sense that it might have a different order over here, but it's the same simulation really. So we're finished. Then I want to do the calculation, and we do that like this. So this is ray tracing, and it's nice that Odeon does multi-threading with multi-cores on the CPU, so things run heavily in parallel. Now we have the output, and I want to play it for you. It's minus 20 dB, so you might change that. So you were sitting in this position and listening to all the violinists up here, and indeed it does not sound like a single violin, it's a violin group, which is a very nice feature of this audio effects tool. As we're here, I just wanted to show that you can indeed adjust this output level. This corresponds very much to what you'd get with recording level on a recording device. So let's go into the equalization setup and change the overall recording level. I just use the sliding wheel on the mouse. Set it to 20 because then we'll get very close to an output level of 0 dB. So that was what I wanted to show in this video on the audio effects tool and how to make use of it in order to create multiple violins in a violin group. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video, and I hope you found it useful.